A nation divided. Protests erupt in Brazil, March 16, 2025, a day etched in the memory of Brazilians. Streets across the country transformed into arenas of discontent. Thousands marched, their voices echoing with a unified call: impeachment for President Lula. The events of this day laid bare a nation grappling with deep-seated economic and political turmoil. The protests were not mere isolated incidents. They were symptomatic of a larger malaise gripping Brazilian society, a pervasive sense of disillusionment fueled by economic hardship and political instability. The events of March 16 served as a stark reminder of the fragility of Brazil's democracy and the challenges it faces in the years to come. The roots of this unrest run deep, intertwining economic anxieties with a growing distrust in the political class. Inflation has soared, eroding the purchasing power of ordinary Brazilians. The cost of living has skyrocketed, making it increasingly difficult for families to put food on the table and afford basic necessities. Fuel prices, a barometer of economic health, have reached eye-watering levels, further exacerbating the pain felt by the average citizen. Against this backdrop of economic hardship, a sense of political alienation has taken root. Many Brazilians feel that their voices are not being heard, that their concerns are being ignored by those in power. This disconnect between the governed and those who govern them has created a fertile ground for discontent, a breeding ground for anger and frustration. The calls for Lula's impeachment, while spearheaded by opposition groups, resonate with a wider segment of the population who feel let down by the current administration. Whether these protests will translate into a sustained movement capable of unseating the president remains to be seen. However, one thing is certain: Brazil stands at a crossroads, its future hanging in the balance. Section 2. The roots of discontent, economic hardship, and political discord. Brazil's economic woes are not a recent phenomenon. They are the culmination of years of policy missteps, corruption scandals, and a global economic slowdown. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated these existing vulnerabilities, exposing the deep inequalities and structural weaknesses that have long plagued the Brazilian economy. Inflation, once a distant memory, has returned with a vengeance, eroding the value of wages and savings. The central bank, in a desperate attempt to tame inflation, has hiked interest rates to levels not seen in years, pushing up the cost of borrowing for businesses and consumers alike. Echoes of the past. The Petrobras scandal looms large. The specter of the Petrobras scandal continues to haunt Brazilian politics, casting a long shadow over the current crisis. The scandal, which first came to light in 2014, exposed a vast network of bribery and money laundering involving Petrobras, Brazil's state-owned oil giant, and several high-profile politicians and business executives. The scale of the corruption was staggering, with billions of dollars siphoned off through inflated contracts and kickbacks. The scandal had a devastating impact on the Brazilian economy, leading to a loss of investor confidence, a decline in foreign investment, and a sharp contraction in economic growth. A crossroads for Brazil. Navigating uncertainty. Brazil finds itself at a critical juncture. The country is grappling with a multitude of challenges, from a faltering economy and soaring inflation to political polarization and social unrest. The protests that erupted on March 16, 2025, were a stark manifestation of the deep-seated frustration and disillusionment that pervades Brazilian society. The path forward for Brazil remains uncertain. The government's response to the current crisis will be crucial in determining the country's trajectory. Addressing the economic woes will require a delicate balancing act. Taming inflation while stimulating economic growth is a challenge that has eluded many governments. Restoring public trust in institutions will necessitate a concerted effort to combat corruption, promote transparency, and ensure accountability. Healing the political divide will require dialogue, compromise, and a shared vision for the future.